Hey guys, in this video we're going to be reviewing the Hygger Electric Vacuum Gravel Cleaner, or the Electric Gravel Vac, right? And now, full disclosure, Hygger did sponsor this video. This product was sent to me for free by Hygger. Thank you very much, Hygger. Do appreciate the sponsorship. But I'm going to give you my honest review on it. And I can tell you that because I'm actually filming this intro for the second time. I've already done this intro, and then I went through and I did the video. And then I realized I should have read the instructions. And then I realized that there's multiple different things and ways you can set this up and play with it. I took 4 hours playing around with this thing to make this video. So I hope you guys enjoy it. You're about to see some of the good, some of the bad, and some of the ugly. Alright, let's go. Alright guys, to get this shot I had to put my tripod way up in the air here. So if I bump it or wiggle the floor and you get a jiggly camera, do forgive me. My tripod's not real stable when it's up that tall. Alright, so we're starting off here with the old user manual. We may need this actually, I'm not quite sure. There's a lot of little parts and pieces that go on this thing. Let's see if you can see all that. Lots of parts and pieces here. But let's dig into it and see what we got here. Let's figure it out. Looks like we have a siphon bottom with a coarse filter. This looks like the return section here. And so this return has got a couple filters in it. Does that unscrew? It does. We have our pump motor. That one's easy to discern. Pump motor. A hose. All right, obviously going to need that. Kind of looks like the flue valve hose, doesn't it? Smaller. It's not a flue valve hose, for clarification. Electrical plug on-off switch. Okay. That goes right in here. We can go ahead and plug that in. It's got a little rubber gasket too, which is nice, so it is water resistant. Alright, plugged in. A myriad of extensions. Alright, we have a little brushy attachment there, maybe for scrubbing your glass or rocks or something. But no idea what this is. Some sort of a strainer. I mean, I know it's a strainer. I just have no idea what it's for. Piping, obviously. This is kind of nice, though. They're threaded. So when you want to extend your pipe there for whatever size tank you're doing, maybe you cannot get your hands wet, but it's nice that it's threaded on there and it has an O-ring in there. Can you see that? See that white O-ring? And that's kind of nice, because then when you're vacuuming around up and down and stuff, you're not just going to pop off one of your pipes. An angle tip. Some instructions might be good. Here's a little vac nozzle. This is a really weird attachment. Look at this thing. Not quite sure. Maybe for sand? Interesting. T-fitting. Oh, we'll probably need that T-fitting. That probably actually goes up here prior to the handle. Maybe some instructions guy, huh? You know, instead of wasting these viewers' time. Couple of clips here, and another little doodad. Some tiny suction cups and some extra O-rings in case you have an O-ring failure. That's it. That's all that's in here. QC passed. Alright, so can you kind of get a perspective of this thing from about waist high? So it can get pretty long. 75-gallon tank is about as long as my arm. So, yeah. Okay. I think, what am I going to do? This thing should go on here. We can always move this if I have to. But this is the return filter. Alright. Maybe that should go down one notch. Okay. Then the old cord here. We gotta clip the cord up the spout. Alright. I think we're ready for action here. Let's give it a whirl. Alright, well I can tell you right now, I've got to reconfigure because I went way overkill on the extension handles there. I don't need that much. That's That's 4 foot long. So, yeah, kind of overestimated how much we're going to need here. Let me reconfigure this thing, and then I'll be back. All right, I think this is a little bit better here. You can't see off camera, but the handle is up above the water. So it's kind of nice, man. You can clean your tank and not get your hands wet if you don't want to. Oh, geez, before we get going, I've got to take all my floating plants out. All right, stand by one. All right, I think we're good to go now. I've grabbed a small extension cord here because we're probably going to need it. Yeah, let's just plop her in and see what happens. Okay, looks like air is out. Have to be mindful of our return here. All right, let's kick it on first and see what happens. All right. Can you guys see the water flow? It works. Tell you what, definitely make a good pump for water changing. All right, let's see how handy this. Whoa, okay. I did just shoot water right out of the tank. Do be mindful of where that outflow is. You could very quickly have a little fish room accident. All right, I'm gonna turn it around. That's what I'll do. It's facing more in towards the tank. Okay, well, it's sucking up stuff floating around, so that's kind of good. It's not sucking up my plants. That's good. And there's stuff in the plants that I can get out of here, which is good. Now, keep in mind, you have different nozzles and different attachments. So if you're not getting enough suction, I think if you do I just splashed water on the center guard here. Or the brace, what do you call that? The brace, the center brace. Ay. You know what? I probably should put this return down one notch so it's in the tank, but I don't want to be blowing stuff around too much. What was I saying? Oh, you have different attachments. So if you really wanted to, get more suction, I think a skinnier nozzle attachment would probably do that for you. You could also just put the hose attachment on and just have the hose go in the water. All right, let's try some gravel vacuum. Hopefully you guys will be able to see that this is nice and clear and see if we pull anything up gravel-wise, any dirt and detritus. Okay, I think we might have sucked some gravel up. I heard a little grinding. That's like some sand. Yeah, there's some sand in there. Yeah, it's sucking up little pieces of sand through this coarse sponge here. And that's what I'm hearing. So, that's probably not great for the motor, but I would really, if anything, just be doing kind of a surface vac. I'm not really going to be going deep in the substrate because I have a planted tank. And we want the poop and stuff down in the substrate. Just scared the heck out of Billy Bass. We want the poop and stuff to kind of be down in the substrate because that gives us some nutrients. So I'm going to try this little sand one with the really small holes. Kind of short, but let's click it on. I do like this on-off switch. This is handy. So you don't have to like run over and plug it in and unplug it. This is cool. I like this. All right. Let's see what happens here. Definitely has more suction. Oh, I kind of like this thing. It's got more suction. Let me bring you in. There. Now, if you can see this detritus, look down in here, this detritus, and it's just creating a flow here and just pulling stuff. So this little nozzle, he's pretty strong. Sorry, the commentary is kind of weak, guys. It's, I'm trying to focus, think about what I want to say, This little nozzle here, it could be helpful, but it clogs really quick for me. I mean, I see its usefulness. I can, especially like this hole in the log or the wood right here, can get in there. Stuff always collects in there. So that's nice and clean in there now, so that's handy. Getting in this crack here, that's handy. Somewhere that I don't get with my hose. I do like the return though. I'm not a big water change guy, so for me having this return is definitely handy. It is trapping stuff, which is good, so the water coming back out is clean. But this nozzle is really not for me. It does have a lot of power, but it just clogs up so quick. See? So I'm going to go back to the original nozzle and we'll try that again. Okay guys, in Hygger's defense, keep in mind that this thing was called a sand vacuum nozzle. So probably for sand, not for other substrates. Alright, I'm going to go back with old reliable here. I think this is probably the best tool for all around. And some sand and stuff will pass through this coarse filter, but your big stuff will get trapped in there. Okay, in the plants here, back to vacuuming. I have a lot of roots from my floaters that have kind of died and fallen off, and they get stuck everywhere. This attachment seems to work best for me. It's enough flow to suck stuff up, but not enough to damage plants or suck plants up. Look at that stuff trapped back there. Can you see that? See, I've got a lot of dead water zones in here, and that's the kind of stuff here that gets stuck. Now I can see that my flow is dying here. See? See? Nothing's really getting sucked up. And my flow here has slowed. And that's because our filters are probably getting full here. This filter. Yeah, I think it's our filter's clogged up. Let's take it off and take a look at it. Alright. When you take your filter head off here or whatever, do turn it upside down like this. The water will drain out, but keep your other stuff trapped inside. Give that a twist, and this is why we weren't getting any flow. This thing is just all clogged up with gunk. The sponge seems to be pretty okay. It's not horrible. One quick shake and this thing pretty much comes clean here, but you can pull some stuff out of it if you have to. Alright, I'm not going to clean the sponge. I'm going to put this thing back together here and see if our suction is back. Alright, we're back in the aquarium. On, and we got our flow back. Now, keep in mind, guys, that this aquarium has not been cleaned for a very long time, and I am sucking up like plant roots, These plant roots are definitely, of course, going to clog up that little strainer pretty fast. So, it's not a fault of the pump. It is the fault of me being a dirty birdie when it comes to tank maintenance. Alright, if I kind of drag gently through the surface of my substrate here, you may be able to see it pull up this brown detritus. There we go. This is probably most what the vac is designed for, but looky here. That real fine stuff you might be able to see blows right back through. This would be an instance where some filter floss may be a good idea to use in place of that sponge. See how that fine sponge is collapsed? That's because it's clogged up right there and it's collapsed. So what I'm going to do is pull it out and replace that with a little filter floss, and let's see if we can pimp this filter. Okay, I have, let me get a better view. I put some filter floss in there loosely and then put the little coarse sponge back on there. Let's fire it up again and see now if we can actually filter out that brown, really, really fine brown detritus. She kicked right on. Now, I'm going to try and do this one-handed so you can get a full view here. Actually, let me get the tripod. Alright, what we're going to be watching here is this outflow, and we're going to see if any of this brown, really fine soot here, see if it pushes out. It's not. Well, yeah, just a little bit here. If it's too fine, it kind of pushes past. You might have to do a tighter filter floss. Yeah, see, it's still squirting out a little bit there. I'm making a mess in here trying to suck all that up. Can you see it's like browner over here? That's all this really, really fine detritus. Let me put the fine filter back in and see if we're still producing, because I don't remember producing too much brown water until that thing clogged up here.
Okay, guys, we have tried to do some major mods. We have the medium sponge that it came with. I've put filter floss, and then we put Hygger's very fine, ultra fine sponge back in there. And then I found some medium sponge I had laying around instead of the coarse sponge, and I just filled that bad boy up with medium sponge. We're going to give this one more shot here at the really fine detritus, see if we can filter all that stuff out. Let's go. And it's still pumping it out. I guess my detritus is too fine, guys. I don't know what to tell you. I have tried everything to get the filter to not like cloud the water, or the vac. I mean, I've tried everything to get the vac to like not cloud the water up when you're vacuuming really fine stuff. But yeah, it's not designed to really filter out the incredibly fine detritus that's already down inside your substrate. If it's broke down that far, in my opinion, let it be. You know, this is like for surface vacuuming, kind of the big stuff. That's my take on the whole thing. Alright, I want to try this tapered attachment, and here's why. I want to see if I can suck off like this biofilm and this stuff here that's kind of gets trapped in my wood and around my moss and stuff. Hopefully it's not too powerful to suck off my moss. Yeah, see that stuff? I want to see if I can get that with this attachment. It should be more powerful. Let's fire it up. Alright, definitely some suction on this bad boy. Now keep in mind we have no filter or anything, pre-filter. But, oh yeah. This bad boy's moving some water now. Look at this. Might be my favorite attachment so far. It's not ripping plants off of the wood. It's not ripping plants off the wood, so that's good. It's kind of cumbersome because you have the whole vacuum head right there. But, you know, I suppose if you really wanted to, you could put an extension, one of those extensions on there if you want. But this is pretty good at sucking some stuff up here. Alright, let's try the moss here. See if I suck up any moss. No? It's gentle enough that it's not tearing up the moss, but it's getting everything out of the moss. So this is a handy tool. I'm digging this one. Okay. We're getting it figured out, guys. It's some trial and error, I think. Actually, I made the moss look really good. Look at that. Alright, one more test here. I found the hose supplied by Hygger actually fits right in that pump. So, what if you just wanted to get your hands wet and go around and really do some spot vacuuming, right? And then you just attach your filter output right to the pump. I'm going to angle that down a little bit. And you just want to go around with this little hose and do some real delicate vacuuming. Would that work? Alright, and with the hose being long enough too, I can just go right on over to the other side of this tank, even though it's a 75 gallon. I think it would probably reach, 100 gallon and stuff. Zip around here with the hose. Maybe it's the quickest way even. Get down into the plants, just be careful not to suck up too much of your substrate. There's a little clump of stuff, but see, you're used to doing this because most of us are doing the siphon vacuum thing, so we know kind of how to run around with a hose, keep it far enough away that we're not sucking up your substrate or your sand. So this might be the best option yet.
Now let's say that you did just want to do a water change, or maybe you wanted to vacuum and water change at the same time. How fast could you do that? Well, we've got the pump just hanging in here. It's off of the bottom, but do be careful that you're not sucking up a bunch of gravel and stuff. What if you wanted to do a water change? How quick could you do that? Well, here's a 5-gallon bucket. It is empty. I'm going to hit the switch and hopefully it doesn't sink to the bottom. All right. What's that, a snail? Oh my goodness, there's a snail. Well, I guess that proves the impeller, right? Come here, snail.
That proves that the impeller doesn't chop things up. Mr. Snail, he's still healthy. Okay, anyway, there's your 5-gallon bucket. And this is real time, guys. About 30 seconds into it. So I'm thinking probably about 60 seconds to do a 5-gallon bucket. So 5 gallons every 60 seconds. Somebody do the math for me on that. That's not a bad pump rate, especially for, you know, a 75-gallon tank. You can see how much we've dropped already. Well, that's about a minute right there, I think. And we're almost full in our bucket. So roughly 5 gallons a minute. Not bad. And going back the other way, if you had to fill your tank, say, put your pump in the bucket, switch. Yo! That was almost really bad. I had to catch the hose. Anyway, start the timer at 13 seconds. Alright, let's look at the hose here. It's not quite as fast, but what do we got there? That's probably a 4-foot head height. So, not bad for a very high head height, but it's not coming out quite as fast. Our bucket is not going down quite as fast. We are at 1 minute now. So 1 minute pumping, you can definitely see without the flow of gravity. Pump has to work a little bit harder, but it'll do it. It'll fill it up. Let me see if I can get like a real head height on the pump here by lifting this thing up. That's it. So I'm 6 foot, and that's right at my head level. So about a 5.5 foot head height is all we really got on this pump. But not too bad. 5.5 foot head height's not horrible. Alright, we're back at the kitchen table here. I'm getting ready to do the outro. I saw these little rubber feet, and I'm like, what are these rubber feet for? There's nothing that I could clip these rubber feet on. Then I looked at this strainer here. The rubber feet go in the strainer, I think. Now I know what the strainer's for, I think. Take your strainer onto your pump here. Suck it to the bottom of your bare bottom tank, maybe. Do your water change. Little fish guard here or something. Or maybe you're doing a water change on a tank that does have sand or something in it, but you can suck it to the side of the glass. Something like that. Hold the pump, and you have a strainer basket. Now, if you had like little shrimp and stuff, you could put some filter floss or something in there, and you know, really make it safe. But that makes more sense now. This attachment, not really sure I would use it. I can see if you have some, you know, green dust algae on the glass or something, you could, you know, kind of scrub the glass with it. I don't see me using that. This little guy worked out pretty good for getting in the plants and things, though I think this hose here works much better the way we have it set up here. This little sand guy, I mean, I would try it in sand, but I don't think that that's going to work very well. I'm not sure really what this is for, unless you had some really, really coarse sand. You can see through there, right? So no matter where I put it, you can see right through there. Sand is going to go through there, and it's going to collect in your filter. In this guy, right here. So I don't see the point in this little thing here. So for me, I would use it pretty much in this setup here. As you saw, I would take the little hose, I would go around. I don't mind getting my arm wet. I would go around and vacuum up. This setup here would also be really good for smaller tanks that you could drop just this thing in, and you know, then you can go around your small tank instead of trying to do all of the handles and things like that. Now, if you had a bare bottom tank or something like that with some, you know, big cichlids or something, and you wanted to not get your hands wet, put all these attachments together for sure. Go, you know, pump around in there and never have to get your hands wet. Set the thing off to the side, unplug it, you know, leave it on the ready for those of you that have big cichlid tanks and stuff like that. Put this together, set it aside, have it at the ready where you can plug it in and do your vacuuming, and then all you got to clean is this filter up here. With the filter, my best setup I found was the supplied coarse filter. Then I put some filter floss in between it, and then Hygger's
micro sponge, or the very fine sponge here. Let me show you real quick that if you remember in the beginning of the video, the sponge was kind of collapsed. Now that we've got the sponge wet and it's been used, it has gone back to its original state, and it does fit very, very flush in there with no gaps around it. So this sponge works pretty well. But I think you need some additional filtration prior to it, and that's where the filter floss on the next level here becomes important. And then your coarse sponge, and with that, you can filter for quite a while. All right, and there you have it, the Hygger Electric Aquarium Gravel Cleaner. Pretty cool little device, man. You know, for $35.99, I think you can get some uses out of it. Will I use all the attachments? Probably not. Is it better suited for bigger tanks? Probably. Will I use it? Most definitely. I will use it. Not just because it was free, but really I'm going to use it. As I mentioned in my configuration here, I think I'm just going to use it as a pump with a hose. What I really like is that you can customize your filter chamber the way you want it, right? So depending on what you're vacuuming up, you can customize this little output chamber the way you want to. That makes it very handy as a vac because you can kind of set it up any way you want. You have all the little tools, you can set it up whatever way you want. Maybe it'll work better for you in a different configuration, but you saw kind of all the cuts of how different ways I was trying this thing out. I really did put it to the test. And I think it's pretty useful. It's pretty handy. Some things that I don't like about it. I think this guy clogs up way too quick. Now, I had a lot of plant debris in my tank, and maybe that would be the case. If you just had like fish poo and, I don't know, big chunks of things, I don't know. If you had a normal clean tank, I guess, this might work a little better for you. In my test, this strainer screen just kept getting clogged up pretty dang quick. Is that the pump's fault? No, that's what I was sucking up. So I think this thing works the way it's intended to. I'm going to have to do some more testing with it and see. We'll do a follow-up video, and maybe we'll do it on some smaller tanks. I wonder if I could probably figure out a way to get this hose in here. It might actually fit over top of there, but I could get a little adapter probably, and you could run around with this little guy and the hose. That might work pretty good as well. But I would probably use this attachment and the hose. That's really, I think, all I would really use. I'm just being honest, you know. But there are a variety of tanks. There's a variety of tanks out there. There's a variety of different fish keepers out there. You might find that this little tool is absolutely perfect for you. So for $35.99, I say give it a shot. Okay. It makes a great water change pump, so you have that availability. And for 35 bucks, I mean, you're not going to really find a pump that's, what is about 350-ish gallons per hour. I think Hygger says it's a 360 gallon per hour pump for 35 bucks with a bunch of attachments that you can clean and gravel vac with a filter. Yeah, I see it being a something cool you can play around with. So there you go. I guess my result is I'm 50-50 on it. I will use it. I do like some aspects of it. I think it's a little cumbersome for your daily cleaning. But again, if you have that big giant tank and this thing is sitting right off to the side in this little holder, like you could just make this like a holder, you know, have that sitting on your table next to there, your big tank. And when you're ready to clean, grab it, flip the switch, clean, put it back, just clean your filter thing, which is real easy to take this off, clean this part, leave the rest hooked up. I think it could be valuable for a lot of fish keepers. Anyway, I'm rambling now about value. Thanks for watching the video. I'm going to think of some more things to do with this. Hygger, thank you very much for sending me the gravel vac. I do appreciate the sponsorship on it, and we're going to come up with some interesting things to use it, and you will see this in future videos when I do some tank maintenance videos. Until then, I'll catch you guys on the next one. You know, guys, and I do mean men, it is advantageous for us to read instructions. It tells you right here that this intake strainer is for water changes. Keeps large gravel from entering the pump. Outlet sand washing head for washing large gravels. Look at that. Sand washing head. Wash large gravel. So it's a weird. It says it's for sand, but it's not. It's for washing large gravel. If I'd have kept reading, um, clean dirt, just a brush head, debris vacuum of fish waste, right? So the instructions were very clear. I'm the dum dum, and then the configurations here it shows you without gravel in the tank, right? Set it up that way. It says water change. Set it up that way. Purpose for washing debris and sand. So read the instructions. Hygger actually did a pretty good job telling you what the attachments are for.